we're pretty much ground zero for the crises depicted in the film.
Yeah.
The film hails from Silicon Alley in New York City, but we're very close to Silicon Valley, where I live. So can you share your thoughts on the cultures of these two places and how they affect the way we live in America?
They're shaping our brains with hardware and software.
Yeah, for the most part.
No? Not shaping your brain?
Well,
some of us.
Not really. I mean, they're presenting possibilities, you know, but it depends on, like, how accessible is it to other human beings. I don't know, you know, it's people are always going to try. They want to sell snake oil, or sometimes they make a screwdriver that actually does something, and other times it's just a bunch of snake oil. Or vaporware, as they say.
Sure.
Right. So it struck me that there's a fine line between quote-unquote augmented reality and a drug, which is something you're hinting at in the film.
Yes.
What capacities do you see augmented or virtual reality as having for productive use versus harmful abuse?
Well, I think, you know, if you use the tool to make art that inspires and connects people, positive, and if you use it as a way to distract yourself from your life and not engage with your life and not engage with other people, then that's bad, you know.
Yeah, I mean, completely. I mean, it's just a tool, and hopefully, it enhances your life in a way that's fun. For me, a lot of like AR and VR is more about entertainment or getting someone inside an idea. It's communicating ideas or being inside of an experience or having fun. Because for me, like when people are going to take it serious, unless you're an engineer and you are looking at an airplane engine and you need like a certain part highlighted and then that's helpful. That's like a kind of a cybernetic, helpful, constructive thing. But for me, what I'm looking for in technology is magic, and I want it to be a magical experience. I want it to be fun and shareable.
Do you either of you have any fear of this? The film depicts 5 minutes into the future, so to speak. Look at another 5 minutes into the future. When we have, like you used the word cybernetic, is there a limit to how far we should go where we've crossed a line where it's just ridiculous?
It won't be up to us. That's the weird thing, like, in that way. I think the technology and, like, the needs kind of shape themselves. I don't know if we'll be able to draw a line in the sand.
Yeah.
Maybe. I think we will have the power to design the systems to a certain degree. And I really think one of the things that gets missed sometimes when we're talking about technology is that so far technology does exactly what we program it to do. So if you have an algorithm that makes a feed addictive for humans, you're making it that way because you want them to look at more ads, and that's because you want to generate more money. So the function of that piece of software is to make money. Yeah. It isn't concerned with the health of the human beings using it. It's doing what it's programmed to do, which is to result in the most money. But you could make a program and design a program that was concerned with what would be good for the mammals that are using it, and then it would do that. So like, a lot of times when we talk about technology, like, is it taking over? I don't know how much agency at this point technology has. I think in a way we use it as a veil to obscure our intentions as human beings, which for the most part at the political level are still mercenary.
Yeah.
So I think there's an economic discussion that needs to happen when we talk about technology and its role in our lives that usually it's just kept secret, like in the back bank vault.
Yeah. What's interesting, it's so much of what we see about technology are these sinister things about artificial intelligence, like you say, sort of taking over our lives.
Yeah.
That's the fear. But right now, we're freely giving up our lives to technology.
And that's what the movie's about.
Right.
The movie is about somebody who's, like giving himself over to...
Willfully.
Yeah, willfully. I mean, he's actually creating his own addiction.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a weird human construct. It's like if you give a child a match, he's probably going to light it. It's just kind of the nature. it's the thing that makes humanity so great. It's like we're compelled to, and we can't stop. We're addicted to.
We have to see.
Curiosity.
Yeah, we have to see it. We have to see what happens. You know, we're kind of like, you know, destruction is something I'm really good at because destruction is much easier than creating. But like, you know, they start at the same place. The place is what happens if, you know, and oftentimes, you know, we choose not so well many times. But with technology, you know, I think it's just a temporary phase personally. I think it's, this is what I'm hoping, is that we're kind of just reinventing what we already have. So, but we want to go on that whole journey and complete the entire cycle. Look, we've got robots that can think for themselves, and they can, you know, they can discern what chemicals are, and they can treat a child really well, but they can also bend metal, but they can hold a child's hand, and, you know, whatever. I think after a certain point, we're just like, this is ridiculous. We already.
Why did we make robots?
Yeah, it's like we already are like amazing. Look at this thing. It's like doing this, and it's like I don't have to invent technology to like make me.
Well, for when we get too lazy to do.
Yeah, totally.
I want a robot to help me dance because I'm so shy.
I know, totally dance spots. I just love to see an entire ballroom floor of people in exo suits like
Doing a synchronized dance.
Yeah, and there's like.
Or when you get too drunk to dance.
Yeah, right.
The dance spot takes over.
Put me up to the dance spot.
You're like, hey man, I just downloaded a new pickup move, you know, like at a bar, and it's like, come up, it's like, hey, what's going on? You interested in?
That's just Weekend at Bernie's. That's the same premise.
First of all, when did you meet him? Well, he was okay. He was kind of cute. I knew he was exo-suiting it, but it's just like there was something about him trying. And
He had a really good program.
Yeah.
So he must be doing well.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. His exosuit was also really old, which was kind of cool.
It was like a vintage
It
exoskeleton.
was vintage. Like you could totally see it through his jacket. Anyways.
First generation exoskeleton.
So anyway, so Reggie, when you're approached for a project like this one,
Yes.
Or approached for something like even the Late Late Show, what's the conversation like about what you want to bring to it and what makes it worth your while or right for you? Because I imagine you've done amazing collaborations, but I'm sure there are times that people come to you and they want to hire you as a dancing bear instead of maximizing your creativity.
Absolutely. It's a fine line for sure. I mean, there are times where I've agreed to do things and people start treating me in that way, and I'll just figure out subtle ways to kind of go like, no, more like this. But I try to avoid that nowadays by setting the expectation. And the expectation, like we were talking about earlier, about like 3 movies, you got kind of a body of work. It's like, for me, there's enough stuff out there now that if you hire me and you want me to do something hyper-specific that probably won't necessarily work with me, then there's no excuse why you shouldn't know that. So I guess for me, I just want people to be sure, to be certain about what they're hiring or asking of me, which they don't have. It's really easy work. It's just like, well, here's an empty spot in this thing. Can you do this thing, or just do you in this? Here's the context, and I'm like, okay, great. And then we do it, and it's awesome, and it's fun, and I'm easy to work with, and it's no problem. It's just when you get into a situation where someone says that that's what they want, and then suddenly I'm like, what? Why am I doing this? Why are we doing, you know? And that can be a little bit of a bummer. I mean, I'll still do the best that I can to just hurry up and get out of the situation. I've never walked out on something. I don't believe in that, but yeah, you just have to make sure that people understand what they're getting when they ask you to do something as an artist, especially a creative. I'm not an interpretive artist. I'm a generative artist, and you know, if you're that, then you need to do the best you can to protect your process.
Now you two had worked together before this film, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So while we're sort of on the subject, let's talk about how your sequences were designed. Was it a direct, real-time collaboration, or more of a submission, notes, editing, final approval process, going back and forth? How did that play out?
In the movie?
Yeah, Reggie's sequences, let's say.
Well, we tried different stuff on different takes. You know, Reggie would try something, and I would give him an adjustment.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was like, you know, he arrived at a point where he thought that I would be a good fit for the movie, and then just asked me if I want to do it, and I was like, yeah, that totally makes sense. That sounds fun, you know. And that was kind of it. And then for me, as I always, like, however whatever project I'm in, I like to work this way, but I just show up. No one, I can't, if someone hands me a piece of paper, it usually just immediately goes on a table, and I forget that I was even given a piece of paper. Where's the piece of paper? I don't know where it is. But so just get me in front of the camera and tell me what you're looking for, and I'll do some version of that. And that's kind of, but Ben already understood that, so it was really easy.
I mean, those days are designed a little differently.
Yeah.
To make room for improv. Definitely.
Yeah.
So, Ben, you stand with the existentialism of Sartre and Camus, yeah, it's right there in those production notes.
Just one phone call I had.
But it does, it makes sense, because the film and your character really are plugged into this question. It's not explicit, it's implicit in the movie, but of what is truly living, right?
Yes.
That's in there with the technology point, but also just on a human level. So can you talk a little bit about how you would answer that question? What is truly living?
Well, my own extensive research.
Since birth.
Yes.
You know, I don't think I've come up with anything that would sound too radical. I think for a human being, really living means being connected to the people around you, figuring out how to have authentic relationships with those people, and exchanging love and creativity, and you know, in some cases that's going to have, depending on your circumstance in life, that's going to have like different requirements. Sometimes it's going to require lots of political action, and sometimes it's going to require more subtlety and finesse. It also depends on your station in life, but I think it's just showing up is really living, and technology is an amazing tool to help us to augment the communication between people, but it's not the experience of eating a delicious piece of fruit, or having a wonderful kiss, or having a fantastic conversation with somebody. I mean, I think that's it. It's pretty basic. Like, eat, have sex, talk, hang out, make stuff, make music, dance,
grow, evolve.
Yeah, grow, evolve.
Try to take others into consideration and improve their lives in subtle ways.
And make a fuckload of money.
Yeah, that's the most
Don't
important
forget.
part.
That's what I've been doing wrong.
Yeah, that's okay. It's never too late.
Yeah. So I'm going to throw a rude existential question.
Do it, rude boy.
So did exaggerating your own neuroses for the role that you play usefully put you in touch with them, or is your art just another augmented reality way to avoid the issues in your own life?
My God, that is a great question. God.
You can get back to me in a week.
I think making the film and exaggerating my neuroses, as you say, it was therapeutic. I think there was like a therapeutic aspect to it. Or maybe I was just distracting myself. Kind of depends on like whether you think life has any meaning and whether growth is possible. Yeah. I guess Woody Allen would say, no, I'm just distracting myself because there's no solution. Yeah. And sometimes I agree with him, and then other times I'm like, no, I'm like growing and changing and looking at stuff differently, and art is sort of the way that I interact with that stuff. And I mean, even to this day, I can find myself getting carried away on a train of worry, and I could meditate, but the thing that, or do something like that, or exercise, and that helps. But the thing that really helps for me is just sit down and write a story, and I guess it's always been that. So that's just what I've found, to like channel that chatter,
Yeah. I guess it's also like the Plato school or the Aristotle school, right? Like Plato would say, art is a distraction.
Right.
Aristotle would say, no, you need that catharsis.
Yeah.
Classic Plato Aristotle argument.
I just had to get my pretension.
No, it's great. What would Freud say?
Yeah, right. He'd say I'm overcompensating.
Let's fuck it up.
Let's fuck it up.
Yeah.
Fuck the pain away.
Yeah, fuck the pain away. Freud or peaches.
So Reggie, you were talking earlier about like having that piece of paper around, or in your case, not. Mm-hmm. There were some stand-up comics who were sort of on, I guess, the Fringe or alternative comics or whatever, who do bring up that little note piece of paper, just a few points, but...
What else do I got tonight?
What else do I want to do? What else do I got?
Yeah.
Oh, lesbians!
Yeah, right.
What's up? Yeah.
But you don't do that, right, with your shows, or do you?
I do an impression of that sometimes.
Yeah. I love that character.
There have been a few times when comedians have left their notebook on stage. And so I'll take the notebook and I'll be like, let's see. Oh yeah. You know, it's kitchen sinks, you know, I don't know, but no, I don't have that. I mean, I'm almost fascinated by it. I find it romantic. I think it's romantic when I see someone open up a notebook and start writing stuff in it. I'm like, oh, you're writing? Oh, you have a notebook? And like for me, it's like I would get myself a notebook and I would like doodle a couple things in there and write maybe one sentence and they would just never get used. Yeah, but I like knowing that about myself. I really love it. I love that I know that I can trust that I can still integrate with the system, even if it's highly structured, even if someone is very meticulous in the way that they want to present something. I pride myself on being able to listen and be open to understanding what they want, and I'm definitely not going to railroad over someone's vision. I've just learned that throughout the time. But it's been fun to hang out with comedians and. Me forgetting that people need to sometimes get ready before they go on, and I'm just still chit-chatting with them, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So anyways, you go, and they're like, yeah. Or I'm like, oh, right, yeah, you got it. Okay, yeah, you go look at that thing. I'll go over here. It's an interesting reality to be amongst those and do what I do.
And this is my lack of research, but I don't really know what your training is, your background. Did you train in improv? How far does that go back? I mean, how did you develop this?
Clown school.
Yeah, it's actually clown school.
Yeah.
I mean, in high school, I joined drama, and at the time, Montana had something called competitive dramatics. I think it still happens. So you could compete in 5 categories, and one year I did humorous solo, the next year I did humorous duo. And both times, I just started with nothing, and each time I would compete, I just kind of freeballed it until it was time to, I had 10 minutes, so I'd just freeball it for 10 minutes. And then by the end of the season, I would kind of have a written piece that I could still manipulate if I wanted to, but I could rest on certain structures. And I basically developed my own style of improvisation. And when I did have the opportunity to try formal, Del Closian improvisation, UCB or the Pit or things like that nature, I couldn't hang with it. It's way too structured. It's improv, but it's way too structured. And there are these rules, and I couldn't. Someone gets up and they erase the scene, and I'm like, I'm waiting. I find myself fixating on the rules rather than actually performing.
Interesting. So Ben, the film's in black and white, and you have a very reasoned, thoughtful reason for why it's in black and white.
Yeah.
Can you explain why that is?
You want me to make something up, or the actual reason?
Either one.
Oh. Well, the obvious one is just the world's in black and white, the technology is in color, and in fact there was a very clear visual metaphor, kind of for the for how shiny our smartphones are in our hands, and how much real life seems on the screen sometimes than actually what is in front of our eyes. Yeah. So there was that, and then also I'm paying homage, or some would say stealing, from a lot of black and white movies, Antonioni's early '60s movies, and La Dolce Vita and Manhattan, are all references and actively stolen from. So I just thought aesthetically it was aligned with my source material that I remixed.
There are a lot of cultural touchstones, the buttons that you press, from Vivaldi to Kubrick.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about why those particular touchstones are there in this film?
I think I just want to be next to Kubrick. I just want to be near him.
Who doesn't? Yeah.
I just want to be around him.
Yeah.
And he's dead, so the closest I can do is just stealing from his movies. I think you know, it's always part of art to sample and reference other art. Like that's, you know, in the novel, in folk music, in rap, just kind of sampling and recontextualizing is part of the cultural process and conversation. And yeah, I mean, all of those references are really deliberate, and I think for me, or like letting more discerning or more just more attentive viewers, giving them some clues about, you know, what I'm referencing. Like, I think it's kind of just fun. It's like fun for a film nerd like me to do it. Yeah.
So one thing that occurred to me after I finished watching the movie was, and anticipating this interview, I thought, oh, I wanted more Reggie Watts. But it's a showbiz adage, right? We've been wanting more.
That's right.
Yeah.
You gotta watch Creative Control Part 2, Creative Chaos.
Creative release.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Creative, no.
Yeah. Creative disorder. Yeah.
Well, while we're wrapping up here, I suppose I should ask, what is next? Do you have any inkling of?
Well, Reggie and I are doing we got a couple of virtual reality projects coming up down the pipe. One's about to come out, and we're gonna make some more.
Yeah.
And then working on a new movie, writing it.
All right. Well, it's been great talking with you guys.
Oh,
how about for you, Reggie? What do you have coming up?
Blimp ride.
Oh yeah, I have a dirigible ride. I'm doing a comedy special for Netflix that
In virtual reality.
Ben's gonna be involved with.
Yeah.
There's no VR on that one.
Oh, there's not?
No, not on this one.
Oh.
Yeah, we'll talk about
Yes.
it. And then I have an album, solo record that I'm working on, and and a possible movie. An improvised science fiction movie.
Wow. All right. We'll look forward to all that.
It's a brand new genre, sci-fi improv. Check it out.
Cypher. All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you so much, man.
Pleasure.
Awesome questions. Thanks.